Howdy, welcome back to Dion Talk. In today's video, I'm going to be talking to somebody who has successfully used the binder strategy and just closed on a property in the middle of a pandemic when most people are saying property prices are too high, you can't find something that cash flows. And I think most times they're right. They don't cash flow with the rents where they are when you buy, because a lot of times when we buy a property, we have an owner who's trying to get out of real estate because they are older and kind of tired of being a landlord and have probably been neglecting the property, not fixing things. And they don't want to raise the tenant's rent. They don't want to kick the tenants out and do a rehab to sell it and get the best price. They just want to offload the property, which is why so far all of my properties have been from the MLS. Almost all of them have been already occupied. Nigel, if you could take a few minutes, tell me a little bit about the size of your portfolio. Tell me something about the property we're going to be covering where you use the binder strategy.
Sounds good. Yeah, thanks so much for having me. Happy to be here. So my portfolio right now consists of just 2 properties. So it's my main primary residence where I live, and I also house hack. And then just recently, yes, I purchased this property. It was already a rental, so I inherited these tenants.
And where are your properties located?
Yeah, so I'm located in Indianapolis, Indiana, and that's where both my properties are.
You said you're house hacking your primary.
Yes, correct.
Okay, and you just purchased this one with inherited tenants. How much was the purchase price?
Yeah, so the purchase price of this property was $30,000. It's much cheaper than most properties in many markets.
Okay, well, that's the thing. Most people think of the housing market. They don't realize there's about 400 markets in the United States. There are places where you can buy houses basically for free. Pay the tax problem with the county and the property's yours. But would you want to own there? And then there's places like Seattle, Los Angeles, where I can't seem to see how the numbers make sense, but somebody is investing there successfully. So you paid $30,000 and the tenants were already living there. About how long had they been living in the property?
Yeah, so these particular tenants, they had been there for about 25 years and the rents had never been raised. So they were still paying $400. Rents were never increased.
$400 for rent is sounds like a pretty good deal. One of the things that a lot of people kind of misunderstand is tenants don't pay rent based on the owner's expenses. They don't care about your mortgage. They don't care about taxes or insurance or the cost of repairs. Tenants pay rent based on what they would pay for something similar size in the same area. So what is the area average rent for houses that are about the same size?
Yeah, so for this area, 3-bedroom, 1 bath, typically rents out for about $950 is the average. The high end is about $1,200, low end is about $750.
So as an investor, even the tenants would have to agree that the smartest thing a landlord can do when they buy a property like this, if someone's paying $400 a month and you can get $950, would be to not renew the lease, kick the tenants out, do a rehab, raise the rents up, and get $950 a month. I'm way too lazy to do that. And I don't want to disrupt a tenant's life. You used the binder strategy. Did you physically make a binder like I do, or how did you do it?
Yeah, so it was kind of like a binder. It was a folder, and it had both of those pieces of paper just with the area information and a picture of the property. So that's what I used. And so the first time I met the tenant, she was scared that I was going to kick her out. She was really worried. And I was like, no, we don't want to kick anybody out. We just want to work with you. And so we went around the house and we just talked about things, that needed fixed. And so I just let her know that I'd be willing to talk with her and work with her on things.
Okay, so you showed her your folder, which basically is a binder. You showed what the area average rents are. You actually looked at the property to fix some things. What are some of the things that you ended up fixing?
Yeah, so right off the bat, I fixed their garage door. The big garage door, it wasn't opening. And so I just went to Lowe's, bought a garage door opener, and then also the laser that senses if anything's in the way. That wasn't working correctly. So I just bent it in place and it started working perfectly. So it was super easy fix, but no one had been there. No one had been there to fix anything. So she was really appreciative that I was willing to fix things like that.
So far, that's what I like to do as well. I like to look for, especially if you had a home inspection done. To me, that's kind of like a to-do list of things that need to be done. But ask the tenants, what would you like fixed? I've even asked tenants, and my first real estate agent told me not to do this, but I still do it. If you owned the property, what is the first thing you would fix or change? My agent was worried that they were going to say something massive like add a den or add another room or something. And so far, it's always been, I would like a screen door. or the garage door doesn't work or something simple like that. So you put in a little bit of effort, spend a little bit of money, not a whole rehab, just a little bit of money, and the tenant's happy, which makes the conversation of the binder go better. The one thing we do different is I like to wait about 2 months to make sure that the tenant pays on time, that I don't get a lot of noise complaints, and they're not calling me for, really small things that a tenant should fix themselves, to make sure they're a good tenant. And in about 2 months, then I'll use the binder method. You closed literally 2 weeks ago and have already done the binder method, and it was successful because at the tenant's request, from $400 a month, what is the rent now with your new lease?
Yeah, so currently we just got it to 700. So this was in only 2 weeks of me owning it. We went from 400, which she knew was low. She was like, she knew she had it nice. And so she basically threw out that number of 700. So it worked perfectly.
One of the beautiful things about being a landlord and having ethics is you could kick them out. You could rehab the house. You could make more money. But you have a conversation and you include the tenant in a conversation they've probably never been in before. They've been renting for 25 years. They knew they were getting a deal. They requested a $300 increase, which is almost exactly what my last binder strategy worked. It was almost exactly the same numbers, higher rents, but the change was the same, which is, so 400 plus 300 is the rent 70% increase. Bad at math.
Right.
Right. At the tenant's request. So you don't have a tenant turnover. You don't have to do a rehab. The tenant doesn't have to move. They still know they're getting a good deal because you showed them the area average rents, which were higher than that. In 2021, when people are saying that prices are going too high, you found a property for $30,000. How did you find this deal? Was this MLS or off market or?
Yeah, so this was an off-market deal. I was driving for dollars, which people don't know. You basically just drive around and look for houses that might need some work. You're looking for motivation to purchase a house and get a good deal on it. So I found this house, the grass was growing. It didn't look like anyone was taking care of it that much. And so, yeah, I got in contact with the owner and he straight out just told me he wanted $25,000 for it. And so this was a few months ago and he knew the market was kind of hot. So eventually he changed his mind and wanted 30,000. So we got up to 30,000, but even at that price, it was still a great deal.
Well, good job. I mean, you did the work to find the property, got the property, you have happy tenants, you're going to have a killer cash on cash return, but you're also house hacking. And this is something I don't talk about too much, so I may chop this out of the video. I am living in a fourplex. I have the cash flow from my other rental units is almost 3 times what my living expenses are. I still rent out rooms in my unit. So even though I'm house hacking a unit of a fourplex, I rent out a room in my unit. I don't know that I'll always do that, but it's very addicting to be paid to live where you live when almost everyone we know is spending so much money to have their house. So maybe I'll cut that out of the video. But not today.
That is a story too, because just how I got this house, it's kind of great. Like basically got a government grant for the down payment and all that stuff. So it's just kind of a whole story in and of itself.
So how are you house hacking the house you're in now?
Yeah, okay. So I found this house. This was on the MLS. This was last August when I purchased it. So still in the pandemic, still crazy stuff going on, but I still got a deal on this property as well. Basically, it was listed for $140,000. And so I knew it was a deal just because I've been in a lot of houses. I do some wholesaling on the side. And so I made an offer the day it came on the market and they accepted it. And actually what happened was someone else had come in with cash. And so they accepted their offer, but that fell through. And so I just put in the offer after that fell through and I got the house. So pretty much I got a down payment grant from the government for this house. So I got in with almost no money down. It was about $1,000. And then I also got a concession from the seller for $6,000 to fix some things around the house. So I put in $1,000 and got a $6,000 concession and a $4,000 down payment grant. So it all worked out perfectly.
It's almost like if you do a little bit of research and you understand real estate, it's a fairly easy asset class to get into if you know your strategy. One of the powers of house hacking is, reducing your housing costs, but the other is the ability to get the property. Smaller down payment assistance programs, better interest rates, plus not having to spend as much money where you live. With the house hacking, are you spending some money, breaking even, or making some money?
Yeah, so I'm nearly breaking even. It's about $50, I think. So I have one tenant. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom. I have one tenant paying 600 and another tenant paying almost 400. And so the mortgage is about 1,050. So almost breaking even there.
That's beautiful. You're killing it. So, I mean, to have just started last year and already be at the position that you're in, I'll ask you what your goal is, but I would think that within 5 years, work will be completely optional for the rest of your life.
Absolutely. Yeah, that is the goal. I had a goal for 3 years, so I'll have to be, going hard at it. But yeah, I want to, in 3 years, be able to replace my income.
No, it's totally doable, especially if you do more things like the driving for dollars and continue to house hack. And you don't have to house hack forever, but in 3 to 5 years, once the cash flow is there, the unit that you move out of will pay for where you live, probably. That's the plan for most people who house hack. You have a great story. I want to thank you for taking the time to come on here and share a successful use of the binder strategy. You're making more money, your tenants are happy, and I'm hoping that this video shows people that what you're doing is possible, even in a hot, crazy market. If somebody wants to reach out and has some questions for you, how can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, so I actually have a YouTube channel. They can look me up there. We can link that. And then I also have an Instagram channel where I want to start posting more content just about my story. And I just love real estate investing in general. So
that's beautiful. I'll definitely have a link to your channel in the description below, and try to get some people to come check it out. Sharing stories like yours, sharing stories like mine is important because, please don't take this wrong, I think we're just average guys. And if an average person can pull off financial independence, it should be more mainstream and more popular than it is, because 90+% of the people that we meet or ever talk to in our entire life will work until they die, or very close to that. And they don't have to.
Absolutely.
Thanks a lot, Nigel. This is going to help a lot of people.
Thank you.
Until my next video, thanks for coming to my Dion Talk.
We're sorry. The number you have dialed.
We're sorry. The number you have dialed is not in service at this time.